All right, there we are. We're live, and it is July 9th. Welcome to our weekly client coaching call and Feed Your Brand episode recording. Gonna have a lot of fun today. I geek out on this, so you'll have to keep us a little more grounded, Tracy. Not
Well,
let me
I
get
I mean,
too
I
off in the
think
tech weeds.
I think we've had a lot of, I'm going to say, controversial conversations about this topic. So let's get started with it and
Yeah, let's just do it.
let's not waste it in the chit chat.
Sounds good. Hey everyone, welcome to Feed Your Brand. I'm Tom Hazard, along with Tracy Hazard, my co-host and better half. And today we're going to talk about how podcast SEO is not YouTube video search optimization. They're two very different things. And, I know a lot of our podcasters, they want to be everywhere, and they should be everywhere. Podcast and video are distributed. They want to be found everywhere. They want to be optimized everywhere. But it's not cookie cutter. The same things don't work in all different distribution channels.
Well, so I think there's a fundamental basics we got to start with. We, for a really long time, have been saying, well, YouTube is owned by Google.
It's true. It is.
But that does not mean that they work the same way. And I think that's something that we really have to understand on a fundamental basis. They actually work very differently. Their drivers are completely different. And because of that, this is after, I'm going to say, 18 months of intensive testing on our own and watching clients do things sometimes successfully and many, many times not with YouTube specifically. We're seeing a definitive difference between the two platforms that you can no longer, and this is what our message is to you today. You can no longer pretend that what you're doing for podcasting is ever going to work on YouTube. Just be conscious of it. You can make your decision of, I'm going to be YouTube first or I'm going to be podcast first. But if you only want to do one thing, you've got to make that choice.
I agree with that. You do have to make that choice. If you're going to say, all right, I'm going to use one title and one description that's going to work everywhere, you got to decide which one you're optimizing for because it's not going to work as well as it could doing the same thing everywhere.
But I also think it's a fundamental content choice, what topic you're going to choose to do if you have an SEO plan that you're working in, a search engine optimization plan, whether it's for your website, whether it's for podcasting, or whether it's for YouTube. Like two of those three things do match. Podcast and blog post website match. So you can do 2 out of 3, but you can't do 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? It's your choice. It depends on how much time and energy you want to put into it, but it cannot be done with all three things matching. It just doesn't work. We tried every which way to make that work, and we can't.
And really, all this means is you need to do things a little differently for YouTube than you do in the other places. And you can do that. But if you're either lazy or wanting to be more efficient and not having to deal with doing something different for YouTube to optimize it, or do it for YouTube first and don't want to do something different for your podcast and your website to be the best they can be, I mean, that's your choice, right? As a
Well,
podcaster.
it is your choice, but I think that the choice really has to come at the beginning level of you saying to yourself, am I going to be a video first podcaster or am I going to be an audio first podcaster? Makes a very, very big difference in what you choose and how you choose to record. Those two things go hand in hand. Obviously, you are recording video. You might record video for podcasting too. It's just not, its purpose is not to be YouTube first. And that's the difference there. You can be video first everywhere. It doesn't matter that you're choosing video as a media type, but you cannot be YouTube first and podcast first at the same time, not without doing two things.
I agree with that. The other thing that I hear a lot from podcasters is Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. I want to be on YouTube because it's the number two search engine. Now, okay, it technically is the number two search engine, but there's a little perspective I want to make sure all our listeners understand. First of all, it is not anywhere as powerful or significant as Google search is. It is a far, far, far distant second, a single digit percentage of all internet searches, not a two-digit percentage. So people are still looking to meet their needs through Google first. But also, more importantly, when you're comparing podcasts to YouTube, I'm sort of holding up my two hands here in the video for those of you that are listening to the podcast. The reality is you're talking about YouTube, which is one channel, one app destination over here versus podcast that's dozens of different apps. So collectively, all those different apps together, you need to be really considering that. It's not just Apple versus YouTube or Spotify versus YouTube. It's collectively all listening apps. And I will tell you, with all of our many, many podcasters that we support, whether it's for production or just hosting, by far the majority of the shows have a larger podcast listening audience than they do a YouTube viewing audience. There are some exceptions, but they're few and far between. And this is not to be down on YouTube. I am pro YouTube. I put all my stuff on YouTube, right? We do that for our shows. But just be aware, whatever decision you make for yourself to be YouTube first or podcast first, make sure you fully understand all the context and the potential ramifications of that decision, and so you can make an informed decision, right?
Right. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're sort of here to talk about how you make this choice and if this choice is right for you. Now, what Tom was saying about the search engine optimization of both distribution of being on the podcast app, but the way the search works is what matters most for us to understand at a fundamental level. The way YouTube video search works and the way podcast search and Google search or blog search, if you want to think of it like that, whatever that is, those all go together in a big bucket. So they're actually all the same. So when you're talking about taking that big market that is Google search, it includes your podcast search because it works the same way. In fact, it works even more basic. So, like, there's lots of things and ways you can game the system and play with things and do things to make Google search work better. And they happen to work even better when you go over to podcasts because podcast search is like search 101, 1.0. It's like really basic. And so, if you've ever heard the term like Boolean search or something like that, it's like you type in the words and it's going to give you the results. Like it's that basic, where at least Google's doing some interpretation of what you're actually looking for. And so it's making a relevance method. And so that's what everything is based on. So SEO, when we use that term for podcasting, for blogging, all of that is based on a relevance model, meaning I'm asking for something and it is the search engine's job to give me what I'm asking for. Even if I'm not 100% sure I know what I'm asking for, it's to give me the most relevant thing to what I really want, right? If that's its job. I always used to say this way back when, is that if Google gave us zero, gave us null results, or if Apple gave us null results. So when you ask for something, it's like when we were in 3D printing, like it was such an early stage of 3D printing. Sometimes these search engines didn't know what who had the answer or even what the term defined as. That's how cutting edge we were. And so it would have to decide what results it's going to give. So it says, well, it's around 3D printing and these guys are the experts in it. So I'm going to give them some result that's over there. At least they were sending them in the right direction. Because if it gave zero results, if it was empty every time, no one would ever use the search engine. So if Apple didn't give up any podcasts in that search topic, then no one would go to Apple anymore. They think Apple didn't have any podcasts or didn't have enough podcasts. So its job is to serve something up that's as closely relevant to what it thinks you're asking for.
Now, YouTube is an entirely different animal, isn't it, Tracy? It works in a different way.
Yeah, YouTube is, if you think about keyword search or focus on text based, what you're asking for is what you get, right? That's what we were talking about over on the search engine optimization. The opposite of that is going on where it's video specific search behavior. So, in other words, if the results that it's going to give you don't give YouTube more of what it wants, it won't give it to you. So, direct keyword matching is not its model. It's something that you can engage with. That's what it's looking for. So it wants to give you a result that will get you to watch it and spend a lot of time watching it, because then they make more money off of ads. That it will send you into things that you will like, comment, engage with, and send you into the next thing that it thinks you want, because it wants to keep you on platform, right? It does not care to give you what you're really asking for. It's not its purpose. It's going to give you the closest thing you're asking for that it can make the most money from. That's its model.
And isn't it also doing it differently because it relies heavily on tags?
No, it's
From a
more than
technical
tags.
perspective, but tags
Yeah.
play into it in a big way.
So, I mean, it's pretty complex. I mean, there's nothing basic about YouTube, right? Like, I mean, we talk about podcast search is very basic, but YouTube is not. It's got like visuals matter, right? How engaging is that visual? How likely are you to click on it because of the visual? Like, they have measurements for everything. So it's really looking at that video specific ranking, if you want to think of it that way, that video specific performance, and not looking at how valuable is that channel, or how unless it's making them a lot of money, right? Like, that's it. That's how they make their decision. It's not how close to the results you want. Are you going to get more of what you're looking for in that location? Should I send you to this channel because they're a deep expert in 3D printing, as we were just talking about? No. They're going to say, this is the video I can make the most money off of 3D printing. Here's the next most valuable 3D printing one. And where can I get you to take a dive
Well,
in what YouTube is going to make the most money from?
that they believe most likely to be interested in, but the way they decide that, it's not necessarily a direct search response result.
That's right. It's like, I type this in, I'm looking for this. So think about it from this perspective. They have you so mapped over on YouTube, they understand your user behavior. So it's your behavior over there that matters more. But I have a different behavior as a individual consumer than I do in my business. My job is to research all kinds of random things all the time, right? If I did that, I'd probably be perceived by their user behavior metrics as schizophrenic. Like, I don't think there's any other way to look at it, right? I'm like all over the place. I don't know what I want. I've got multiple personalities, right? Because on one day I'm a health and wellness guru, and the next day I'm a finance geek. And so, like, I just got it all over the place because of how I search over there for that, which is why I do not do that in my own profile, just so you all know that. Like, I just don't do it. I never search from my phone because that would mess me up, right? It would mess up the things that I'm actually personally interested in. So I do it in an incognito window, but that's my own way of doing it. And I highly recommend, because it will be an absolute self-fulfilling prophecy, if you do your keyword research in your own profile. It will mess you up. You will not get good results. You will not understand what you're doing. It will not give you what you are really looking for, which is something you're not doing today, right? You need results of what I'm not doing so that I can get the results I want. And it can't come when it's already got you it thinks it understands you already. And that's whether
So,
you're using something with AI, you're using something that's mapped you, you're following your user behavior in any way, shape, or form.
okay, I want to raise a big red flag here and say, whoa, hey, hold on, everybody out there listening and watching. You got to realize what Tracy just said there. That's incredibly important. It's really critical. You're trying to do objective research on, you know, keyword phrases, terms, whatever that you hope are going to produce the results you want them to get your show, your episode found by more people. You can't do that from your own normal browser and your own profiles, things that you've done, because your own personal behaviors and biases and interests and all that are going to skew the results. You've got to actually do this research in an anonymized way through incognito windows and whatever else that, there probably are a number of other techniques too that you've got to do in order to get results that are not going to be skewed.
Right.
I bet you anything, 98% of everybody listening hasn't thought of that. And when they do research, they're getting results that are, how do we say, that have an inherent bias in them.
Well, so here's a really good example. I hear a lot of people using AI, right? So they go to ChatGPT or they go to Gemini and they type in and they say, hey, help me get some keywords,
Okay.
right? So I did that today. I said I wanted it to give me some YouTube specific keyword research tools that would be helpful to podcasters. So for our coaching call today. So I asked it for that. And you know what it gave me, Tom? It gave me these four things. YouTube
Well,
search autocomplete suggest, okay, which I'll show you what that is.
okay.
People also ask and related searches on Google. Google Trends with the YouTube search filter on, which I will also show you shortly. And then the fourth thing, third-party keyword tools. Example, TubeBuddy, Podetize website analytics.
What? It
Because
served that up because you are podetizing, you use it probably more, right?
I did that from within Gemini in our Google Workspace, which is Podetize.
And it knows about us there more heavily probably than
Right.
elsewhere. Okay, fine.
It's sucking up to me.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what I mean by it's heavily skewed by the fact that many, many times I teach our own Gemini to point to our own tools and products first.
Well, that makes sense.
Right.
Obviously, we want
Because
people
we're
to
in
see
our
our
own
resources first, but we're in our bubble, right?
right, we're in our bubble, and that's where it can go wrong. Not that our it is a useful tool. I'm not gonna because Tom and I
No,
were
for sure. But
it is a
that's
useful tool. That's why we built it into our portal. So it is there for you. But the reality is that if it serves me up those kinds of things, you can think about how many things it's not giving you. So in an effort to have an incognito, I have a very separated account that has no reference to the term podetize or Podcasters United. So it has nothing in there, but I solely use it as its own separate account with an incognito window when I log into it. And I have one for Gemini and one for ChatGPT. And I only use the free version of it because that's what most people are using. And so I want to get the results that most people see, not the results, the refined results that I could see. And very often I will go there, type it in, and then I will go to my environment and type it in and see what the answers are. And I am shocked so often at how like generic the answers are over out there and how very specific and helpful they can be in my own environment, but how much stuff they two misses together. So what I usually do is take the incognito one, take the one from my environment, put them together, and then ask a question like, what ones haven't I covered before? What keywords haven't I covered before? Or how can I cover these keywords that came from the generic environment in a way that would be more powerful and useful to the productized audience? Sometimes, you got to ask the questions in a specific way, but it's very helpful to do that. But video is really important to do that because the user behavior does so much. That YouTube behavior that you take does so much to skew the answers that it will give you and the results that you will get, that it will completely be an invalid guide. And so I'm a big proponent, absolute big proponent, and we've tested a bunch of them, of outside tools, third-party tools. TubeBuddy is the one that Fran always recommends. Fran Acero, who is one of our experts here at Podcasters United, always recommends TubeBuddy, but there are other video tools. Almost every one of them does a much better job than you could do on your own because of the skew in the results. And because when you try to use it in an incognito window, it just gives you such generic results because it doesn't know anything about you yet. So it doesn't know it's trying to figure you out. And so it's kind of like it's testing you as it gives you results to see what you'll click on and what you'll do. So it's almost like it knows that you're testing it, you know that you're being tested in the process of it. So it gives you bad results. So I'm going to share my screen real quick,
All right. So
Tom.
those of you listening to the
Yeah, so those of
podcast,
you
you may
listening won't
want
see
to
this, but I'm going
note
to share
this
my
time and
screen,
maybe
yeah, and
go check
show
out the
you a
video
little.
when you have a chance at podcastersunited.org. Okay.
Yeah. So when you're in, there we go.
So
When
what are
you're
we
in
looking at here? We're
Google,
looking at a Google search now. Okay.
this is basic Google search. Now I typed in podcast social media planning. That's my keywords. I just did it because
Yep.
it's long tail enough to give me some good results here. It gives me, because podcast is in the title, it definitely gives me podcasts up at the top. That's pretty nice, right?
Yeah.
And it gives me social media marketing podcasts. So this is really good for you. You should check this out in an incognito window on your own keywords. And then if these are the ones, if you were in social media marketing, I'm not, but if I was, these are the 9 I might want to comp. I might want to use this my competitive research. So then you're going to get the sponsored ones so you can really check out and see who's paying. Now, most of these are big, so I don't see anyone in the podcasting space paying for anything here. So, but Riverside is showing up and they're paying for that. So they're seeing it as a keyword that they should pay for. It makes you decide, do you want to be paying for that keyword? Do you want to be paying to put something up? Almost always Reddit will show because Google's favoring real humans and they think that there are real humans on Reddit. Then it'll show you videos. Yours might be in a different order. This is the incognito window, so it's kind of going in a logical order and giving you everything. 9 times out of 10, I will not even see a video in my feed because it knows I won't click on it. So this is where I mean by you're going to get skewed results if you do it, but it's going to give you the videos. So you're going to definitely want to check them out, click view all and go to that and see what it's going to show you. And then you'll go down here and look, Apple Podcast is giving you a podcast. Co-host is giving you something. And look, here's Podcasters United. We're showing up on the first page of Google. How to create an astoundingly simple podcast social media planner. Right? That's what this is.
So this would be what I would you sort of qualify this as an objective result, not skewed based on our personal behaviors or frequent searches because of how you did it in incognito. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And when I'm going through this, what you want to do is really look for, okay, this one, like Meet Edgar, that's a really good, this is the social media tool we use to schedule out our social. It's got a 9 useful tips. It's got a how to promote a podcast on social media. Wow, that's really good. I may want to go and see what their advice is and do a spin-off style episode and blog on our site for that. Or we have a good relationship with Meet Edgar. We're referral partners. Maybe I just want to have share their article, like write a summary of it and send people to their article. That could happen with any partners that you have. I do that with our Rasa newsletter all the time. They have a great blog, and I just usually write a summary about why I think people should read their article. and I put that on the website. So you can also tie the two things together. This is also something else to consider. Look, this one is podcast social media calendar on cohostpodcasting.com, and it's a downloadable. Okay, well, ours isn't. Maybe I should do a variation on the blog and do a downloadable too. So these are things that are going to give you ideas about how to plan your topics and what to do with them. This is a tool that I use all the time. And then I really go down to also the bottom where people also search for podcast social media planning template. That would be a logical title to use to make a download. Best podcast social media planning, podcast social media planning ideas. That is what people are searching for. These are great ones that I should follow up and maybe do. Every year we do the same episode on social media planning. So this is giving me the idea of what should our next episode title be. And so this is really good for this. So this is one way to look at it. And that's what we look at there. If I go to YouTube though, where is it? Actually, I'm going to go to Google Trends first because I think that there's something here that you haven't considered. So I typed in those same search terms here that did so well on Google, and I made it under the Google Trends. You can go into a section where you can put what type you want. I want a web search, an image search, a news search, Google Shopping, or a YouTube search. And look, your
Wow.
search doesn't have enough data to show here. This is what I'm telling all of you out there. This is when I said at the very beginning, the words that are succeeding for you to get your website found on the first page of Google or to get your podcast shown as one of the top podcasts in that category is not working on YouTube. And here's the perfect example of it.
That's shocking. I mean, you really, those of you listening to the podcast, go check the video out here because the visual here is quite shocking in that your search doesn't have enough data to show here. I mean, it shows you that it really is very different on YouTube.
Right.
And it's a whole different animal in terms of search.
I don't know why
So,
that's not showing, but anyway, it should be showing. Um,
well, so what
Ah,
about
here
some
we
of
go.
the, okay.
So you'll get some that'll start to show you trends over time and whatever. But you have to really, I'm telling you, in order to get it to work in YouTube search, the stuff you have to type into the variations on it is almost agonizing to try to come to a solution, which is why I say if you're gonna do YouTube first, don't even bother. Instead, pop over to TubeBuddy and use their keyword planning tool. Like, and it's way too complicated. I am not going to show it to anyone here, but you've got search ranking tracking, you've got alerts that you can put in. You can do it right within the video as you're installing it and get it. And so you can take your podcast video that you already have and created and published it out on podcast and published it out on the blog, and then take it to YouTube and retitle it and come up with a new title that will work on YouTube. Use something like this tool. There's Video.io or Video, I don't know, that's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That's called. I forget what it's called. But
Yeah, but TubeBuddy is, I mean, honestly, for YouTube, it's the gold standard, and I don't think you really need to spend
no.
a whole lot
It's
of time
I
looking at
think the
other
thing about
things.
TubeBuddy is it's like I use the Legend version, which is like $19 a month. I pay for a yearly and get a really deep discount. But it's worth paying the extra because you can use all the tools and every little piece of it works while you're in YouTube doing things. It does not work here in my incognito window. That's why I can't demo it to you because I can't associate it up with my site for you. But then remember that it did suggest the Podetize client portal. And if you go to the websites tab in your analytics, you go to analytics, you go to the websites tab, as long as your website is registered in with your account here and in with your show, right? You'll be able to see it here. You can see your backlinks, you can see your organic keywords, you can see your time. This is just a month in a snapshot, but you can go down here and see where you're ranking on the first page of Google. Best budget podcast microphone. We're in number 3. I don't actually see social media on the list, that one, but it was like number 8 or 9 anyway, so it's probably just a little farther down on this list. You can export a document with with all the organic keywords. So you can get this list and then go look at it and do a comparison and try to find matching words or similar words or what phrases you should be using on YouTube. You can use this tool because these are obviously your top ranking one in the podcasting and search engine world. So these are the tools that like I want you to get used to, but I just have come to this place where trying to do it in an organic way is too time consuming. Doing it in a video specific way or doing it in a channel specific way using tools like TubeBuddy. And we'll, of course, have the link to TubeBuddy. So you can go to podcastersunited.org/TubeBuddy or podetize.com/TubeBuddy, and we'll still get you there. So if you don't know what it is, just go there. And we will, and you can go there and just learn how to use the tools. Now, here's some things that I really found is that their tutorials are fantastic over there. They have videos, of course. And so you're able to like come at, but watch the alerts. When they do not turn your alerts off. When you log in and you look at it, they have like, here's the latest tip of the day or whatever like that. I've turned on some things that just like killed it out and like did amazing things for the channel because I they had this little tip. It was a 2-minute video, and the next thing you know, I was getting more traffic. So do not skip them. They are the cutting edge tools that maybe only will work for 30 days before YouTube figures out that people are gaming the system, but they work. And so you should follow their rules.
But Tracy, let's not sugarcoat it. I mean, I think a anybody who considers themselves a podcaster first and is taking advantage of the increased exposure YouTube gives you, which is wonderful. That's why we do it too. But and as wonderful as TubeBuddy is, and it is a great tool, I agree. And our customers tout it as a fantastic tool, and they got increases in their video views after using TubeBuddy. All this is true, but it's going to take work. I don't want you to think that, hey, TubeBuddy's going to do it all for you. I mean, this is active participation. You've got to put the time in and to understand what it is you're doing and then to do it right and use the tool to optimize. So, I mean, I'm just don't want people to think, oh, it's so easy. Sign up for TubeBuddy and it's going to do it all for you. Not exactly, but it's going to give you that roadmap for what you need to do, but you've still got to do the work to go down that road.
Right. So if you're a big enough company or you're big enough, have a big enough staff, here's what I've come to. I am no longer letting my social media team manage YouTube. The people who are running my social and writing my copy, we keep those all separated. So the one that's determining the search engine optimized keywords and all of that is different from the one who promotes on social, and now is different from the one who optimizes on YouTube.
So what have you done? We put an actual employee in place whose sole responsibility is YouTube. Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying some new things, so we haven't actually, it's like
Okay.
it's a little bit different than that, where we're having somebody who both creates clips and optimizes. So we're doing a little bit more advanced YouTube ideas. But that's because I want to test going to monetization over on YouTube as its own model. So we're just doing a little bit different here. But yes, essentially it's three. And so what we've discovered is that if I play the social media game, I can't, I damage my ranking. Absolutely will damage my ranking. And we know this, Tom, because how many social media influencers decide to be podcasters and fail like within 60 days?
Well, they give up really quickly
They
because
give
they're
up
not
so quickly.
seeing the same level of engagement as they do in their social channel. The thing they don't realize is whatever social channel they have all that huge number of followers on and get all these likes and shares and things when they post something, those same people are not necessarily podcast listeners or YouTube viewers. They are social media users and followers, and they like what's going on social media. they're not necessarily going to listen to your recommendation call to action to leave that social media platform and go over and start watching YouTube videos or go and now start listening to podcasts and subscribing. Now, there is some are, of course. I'm not saying they're entirely separate audiences, but I would say I mean, yes, we've seen it time and again. Someone has 500,000, Instagram followers and they publicize the episode there, they get, a modest little increase in listenership on that episode, but not necessarily a big one. Now, of course, there are many, many other factors that play in that, not just putting it on social, but did the guest actually promote it, say something good
Okay,
about it?
that's like a totally other podcast
It
that you're
it
going down the
is.
road. So like, let's not go there. Okay,
No, but I
so
want people to
the,
understand there's many things involved though in that. But yes, fundamentally, the
totally different optimization.
yeah.
It's an engagement basis. It's a authority building. Like it's a different model of it. So we handle it totally differently, but it's handled after the fact because we know that our business growth depends on people finding us on Google, people finding us on AI. Those two things matter more. And that means that a search engine optimization model based on focus keywords in our niche and topics that are absolutely relevant to all of you listeners out there right now, the stuff we do live on our coaching calls, where we're really helping our clients and we're helping our future clients, this makes a difference to our business. This has a direct impact to our revenue stream. So that's where we start first. That's the decision that we made. Then, secondarily, we do share tips and clips and engagement and guests and all the things that we do. We share out on social because we want to be social, right? We want to be engaging. We want to make sure people know we're here for them. But that's its point. Its point isn't to make money on social media. Its point is to be alive, be posting, be be there when they need us on social media. That's its point. And now we're looking at YouTube as its own separate thing and saying the YouTube audience is completely isolated. They're very separated in the way that their search works, the way everything else works. I have to have a different strategy for them. Now, Fran and many other YouTuber experts will tell you you need a whole video recording strategy for that. And I am going to break that this year. That is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say we don't need a separate strategy. We just need to learn how to chop up what we have or reframe what we have by using these third-party tools and understanding the mindset and behavior based search optimization, that video search optimization, but we can make it work without recording something completely new. I mean, look, how many times have they done this like thing where they're like, "Oh, do the like funny little thumbnail clips with Tom making faces and pointing at things," and they're gone already. Like nobody wants anyone who sees those goes like, "Oh, they're using one of those." Like stop following the stupid trend thing. Do what you know to be best, but understand that video users are have a different behavior model and the algorithm works different there, so you do have to play the game.
That's interesting, Tracy. As I think back, there have been the nice way to say it is different trends in how to create thumbnails for your YouTube videos, or doing other sorts of things in YouTube. And I almost want to say they're fads because they really don't have the long-term shelf life, is maybe a good way to put it, as other things do, like SEO and blog search for podcasts. I mean, it's been working for more than a decade, and it's why our business exists. And it continues to provide value year after year for the podcasters that are doing it. You can't say the same thing about different strategies in YouTube. They tend to come and go pretty quick, don't they?
Well, it's the same thing about like think direct marketing and like LinkedIn chat, right? Direct messaging and LinkedIn chat. Now everybody has a bot that does it, and because of that, we all now ignore every message that comes through, even if they're coming from real humans. We now just it destroyed our messaging, right? So it comes to a point by the time you are hearing that you should be doing this thumbnail trad, someone's selling it and making money off the sale of it before it's gone, but it's not going to work for you by that time you get to it. You're not on the cutting edge because you don't have a million followers, because you're not on that edge of being able to test something, see it's working, do it. By the time they tell you what they're doing, it's over.
And it's really exhausting to me mentally to have to try to keep up with that.
But here's the difference, Tom. You and I both know this because I just did this. It's the funniest thing. So we haven't purged shows from our archive in a really long
Oh, on
time.
our platform? Oh, yeah, you told me this
Yeah.
yesterday.
And so
This is
I've got,
actually eye-opening. You
yeah, and
podcasters are going to
we're
love
gonna
this.
do a whole show on this, but the patterns of failure. They absolutely, I started like making notes and then doing an analysis trend of the ones that failed, the ones that quit their show, basically. And
Yeah.
these are people who abandoned their feed, right? Like they didn't just move it, they like didn't make it cheap, like they, were going to a free platform. No, they quit. They just were like, forget it. I made all these episodes and I'm done. Right? Like, and like, I
Yeah,
don't care.
and by abandon your show, we mean truly abandon it, giving up any rights and ownership to it. So go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I analyzed all the trends of like what was going on there. This is when I come to you, when you hear the episode that we're going to air about this, you're going to go like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that that's true." Like I'm going to give you one tip here so you guys can hear it. But like if your name is Sarah, you are more likely to abandon your show.
That
Like statistically
uh,
way more likely to abandon your show than any other person.
and so there's going to be a whole lot of these little, I would
Like
say traits, qualities, or observations that we've found from doing this for 10 years, supporting podcasters. And it's almost like, you wonder why traffic backs up when there's an accident on the other side of the freeway that's divided. And hey, my side's clear sailing. Why am I slowing down? No, this is like you're not going to be able to help yourself, but slow down and look at this. And you're like, what? And you're all going to learn some different things that some may apply to your show, maybe not all, but oh my gosh, it was eye-opening.
right. But what this tells us about what we should be doing on our end is the extreme value. And this is why I have come around about TubeBuddy and all of these video and all these other tools that they have out there, because they are seeing this pattern that you are not. There is no way for you to do this in isolation. We can see a pattern of what was working and what wasn't in podcasting. And now our system and process is unparalleled in terms of its success. We see people who leave our platform and come back and they have lost so much value. It's not even funny in a short period of time. That's how much residual value all the things that we've been built in and done over time. That's what's going on with TubeBuddy and some of these other tools. And that's why I cannot recommend them enough. And that's why I said that we're adopting a new strategy where I'm getting someone who's an absolute pet expert in that tool to help us develop a video strategy separate, a YouTube strategy separate from the podcast strategy. But I made the choice here, and this is where I really want you to hear it. I made the choice to not be YouTube first because I feel very strongly after looking at how YouTube's search engine is working that it would harm my business more than it would help it.
If you went YouTube first. Now, I think it's fair to say every other podcaster, business owner out there needs to,
Make their own choice.
make their own choice, do their own analysis and decide whether it makes sense that they're going to be podcast first, YouTube first, or try to be all things to all people, and
Look,
do a
if
lot
you're a
more work.
celebrity or an entertainer, you should not listen to what I just said. You should do the opposite. You should be YouTube first.
Right. But if you're not a celebrity and you're trying to rise above the crowd in this noisy digital world, our experience would tell you go podcast first.
Right. So
Right.
this was one of the reasons that this kicked into my brain. Our son-in-law, Jonathan, is an amazing video expert.
For
And
sure.
he has supported many podcasters over the years, and he has just done a tremendous job of growing their YouTube channels.
Hmm.
But he said to me that they had some strategy that was given to them by a marketing team,
Marketing firm.
a
Yeah.
marketing firm. Yeah. And he was evaluating it and he said, do I need to follow this? Is this really what's best for the business? And they said, oh, no, no, we want to rank. We want to be popular on YouTube. Should we? Is that going to drive what you want? It
Is
just
that going to
because you have,
achieve the business outcome that you're looking for is maybe a different way to think about it. That's how he was, I think, quite astutely for him being a video expert. And you know, it's in his best interest if he were to let everyone believe, spend more money on me and what I do, and you're going to get to the promised land. He's actually wasn't doing that. He was looking at it from a perspective of is the outcome this business is trying to achieve because he's been working with, one company as a consultant for years and understands their business model. And he's like, I don't think this is going to achieve the outcome you want it to. It's almost like the Inigo Montoya thing, I do not think it means what you think it means.
that's right. So
So
anyway, but the point is that here's somebody in the video world who should be like, oh yeah, let's spend more money on video. And he's saying, I don't think this is, you'll quit this. Right? You'll stop this. It's the same thing like those, what we were saying before about the social media influencers coming into podcasting with these unrealistic expectations of how it works. So he abandoned some of their, he said, I don't have to follow all this advice he got, from the person he's directly in contact with, followed his own and it's working. So like they are getting the results that they want, just not through the method of following the YouTube model. So
wow.
yeah.
Eye-opening. All right. Well, hey, I can't wait to work on titling that future episode where we reveal and dish on all the trends that we've seen in shows that did not make it.
Well, we already used the
Whoa.
title like how to fail podcasting again.
No,
So
this is something, no, this has to be a little more,
well,
uh,
then I'm going to challenge you to title one for a change because
oh
I'm tired
boy.
of titling them.
Okay.
And, maybe you could come up with one. But yeah, I've got 10 things.
10 things. Wow.
Like it's
All
got to be
right.
like 10 things I hate about you. Like that, it needs to have a
It
play
needs to
like
be
that.
like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that'll be upcoming. It is, I think it'll probably be the beginning of August at the latest. By the time we get into it, I'm going to try to put it in sooner, but I don't think I can. And but we'll be looking forward to seeing you back here on that. So I know this we went long on this,
Oh
but
boy.
I
Sure
think it
did.
was just really it's when we compare and contrast, it's really hard to be concise.
Especially when we're opinionated, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what, here, I hope I really, I set out the goal for this year is to tell you like it is, right? To have that straight talk to you, to be, the hard truth. And I don't think we'd be where we are in business if we didn't do that behind the scenes a lot to ourselves. So I appreciate all of you who follow us out there. Come back next week for us to say it again. But I
Yeah.
don't want to sell you something you're not going to be able to succeed at. I just don't.
Or to give you, unrealistic expectations just to make you want to do what, would be maybe the most profitable or the path of least resistance for us or anything. I mean, it's just not who we are. We're
Yeah.
we're pretty straight shooters.
So, but I'm excited about some of the things we've got coming up to share with everybody come this fall. We've got some super cool new programs. I'm also sure we're going to upset some people along the way because we're changing things. And when we make changes, everybody
Hey,
gets a little bit up in arms. But I'm
um,
okay. I can deal with change. So, and I can take the flack. I have pretty thick skin. So we'll deal.
nobody likes change, huh? Isn't that shocking?
I
Nobody likes
actually love
change.
it.
To me, it's
I'm weird.
refreshing. It's an opportunity it's an opportunity, I guess the way I look at it. And that's really what we're all about, helping you continue to make progress to meet your goals with your podcast. So come back and we'll keep doing that for you.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. This is Tom and Tracy on Feed Your Brand.